I believe five things happened that made us remote before COVID. I was betting on these things. The first one is in Silicon Valley, I remember 500 startups, Stanford StartX, the founders are becoming international. And a
Hmm.
lot of new unicorns are built by first generation immigrants or international people, like Brex credit card, right? It was two young guys from, I think, South America, right? There are so many cool
Yeah.
unicorns that is actually built by international people. Number one. Second thing that I believed was 5G is will be a life changing for us because it will be like old phones to mobile phones. When we have 5G, we have internet everywhere, like absolutely everywhere. Like we will have, like you can open your computer and you have connectivity at that time. If you go to Costa Rica or if you go to anywhere in US, right? So that 5G, and think about it, we have connectivity in our phones, we have connectivity in our iPads, but it's a huge computer. We don't have connectivity. It's like absurd, right? It's
Hmm.
stupid not to have 5G, 4G in the computer. It's like unbelievable crazy, right? And I never understand why they are that idiot. So I think with this Apple Silicon, they're gonna put A12 or A14 chip in it, and they're gonna put a 5G or 4G this year or next year. So I definitely believe that we will have 5G connectivity, and then when you open your computer, you have instant internet with a high quality camera, with more global data plans that anywhere you can have instant high speed connectivity. I was really betting on that. And then there is something that nobody is talking about, and I think it's huge. We are living in an era that a lot of things around us is built by people who had no idea before they are building it, right? They had no idea. Like you are starting a podcast, but you are not a radio host, right?
Hmm.
Airbnb
Yeah.
guys weren't hotel guys. Uber wasn't a taxi driver, right? So things are built by
So they didn't
people
have the prior
and
experience or
experience,
expertise to
nothing.
build a company. Yeah.
Yes. Build a company, yes, but not in that idea. And in my life, every single idea I have, I had no idea. Like I was always like, I want to build this. Like I never build an e-commerce website. I never build an accounting software. I never build a phone. I never build a luxury brand. I never like, it's always like I never build a social network around movies. So it's always like I had no idea I want to build this. Right now I'm doing something more crazy. After 20 years of experience, I'm moving to B2B, which is totally
Hmm.
different than all of my 20 years experience. So Silicon Valley is really American dream on steroids, if you think about it. It's so weird. It's really an American dream on steroids that in a magical short time, you can build a very influential company and people, thousands of people get rich out of that thing that you built. It creates thousands of jobs and it influences millions of people. Like this doesn't exist any single location on the planet Earth, right? So
Hmm.
I believe that the reason for this is self-taught. So Silicon Valley realized that, I believe, self-taught engineering, self-taught, like you can now go and learn to do something in a very, very fast way. Everyone can do
Yeah.
that,
You can
right?
learn pretty much anything.
So what happens is you are an international founder, you come to this country, you raise, let's say, $1 million on a YC demo day, and then you want to have engineers, right? In the old days, the main engineers were in Silicon Valley. But because of open source and self-taught, people were learning how to be a great engineers in other places of the world. And there's amazing
Hmm.
engineers in other places because they know of, like they go to virtual boot camps, they follow the open source community. So I believe because of the engineering, because of the open source, because of the self-taught, because of open source computer science, um, which is OSS, um, open source university, like thousands of people around the world become a coder that can build something remotely, right? And I think the fourth big thing was, I think it was the fifth. Sorry, the fifth big thing I believe was we start to see a lot of remote companies like InVision, GitLab, right, and many more. So Zapier, because
Hmm.
they decide, okay, we can build a huge, great engineering team outside of Silicon Valley, and they are as good as Silicon Valley people, right? And because of all of these combined, I think the remote trend was sort of becoming a trend. Sort of that in from the investors' eyes is they start to say this can really work because they start to see companies like Cloudflare, like I don't know, but it was like 50% remote. Like there's IPO companies are
Wow.
doing IPO. They are like insanely remote companies, right? So they start to believe, I think the investors believe that it's really possible with great leadership, you can really build a remote company. And I
So they
actually see
actually
this,
started funding companies who are remote,
yeah,
and
like
this norm
Zapier.
started to cracking. Yeah.
Yes, this norm I think started to cracked during the Slack time, which was I think 2018. Like this was like
Okay.
Zapier was one of the first one. Todoist was one of the first one, 100% remote. InVision was a 100% remote company. Zapier was a 100% remote company. Basecamp was one of the first ones in
Yeah.
the world,
Yeah. They were
and he wrote a
remote
book.
forever.
Yeah, they are remote forever, and they have a book, No Office, right? So that was already starting. And as I said before, Silicon Valley is very playbook driven. And at that time, Silicon Valley prices are going crazy expensive, right? If you have, someone told me it's maybe correct or not correct. Like if you want to have an office in San Francisco for 100 people, the cost of a year is $40 million dollars because of you pay San Francisco tax,
Yeah.
all the crazy stuff. But if you want to do it in other states, it's 20, even the 10,000, 10 million or $20 million, way, way, way lower, right? So, and think
Yeah.
about founders are becoming international, so they can hire three great junior engineers
From their
uh,
countries, right?
from their countries, right? So that I think perhaps start to happen like crazy in 2019, in 2018. I was really betting on that. And when the COVID hit, then the remote become a must, not good to have.